Is tell us about Joe Corby and his contribution to AFTO.
His contributions have been immense. That's the only way to put it. He has tackled every task and has been, a key player in this whole organization. He's brought us a long way from where we were, and he's interacted, in all aspects of AFTO, not just food. I mean, he also has interacted with the drugs and devices and others. He's a great listener. He's got a great mind on him. I think he's got the best food safety mind in the business. And AFTO has grown and has seen membership grow because of people respecting Joe. I mean, he's likable, a very sociable guy. But they primarily respect his knowledge and his abilities. He's got incredible knowledge, skills, and expertise, and that has taken him a long way, both in New York and at AFTO.
Great. The second question is, tell us about Joe's contribution to food safety and the food regulatory profession.
Oh, that list goes on and on. It could start with Joe being innovative in New York. They got into imports and actually modeled that, and we adopted that in Texas. But he was innovative in putting that together. New York's been respected as being on the cutting edge of all food safety, primarily because of Joe. His abilities to deal with people at all levels, whether it's commissioner levels or even congressional levels, it speaks volumes for the man. He's just a jewel. And you give him a food safety task, and he'll take it on. When we were having problems with the food code that FDA was coming out with, I was president at the time, and I tasked Joe, who was head of the food committee, with developing that code. And he did. And it was really good, and it was fairly close to what FDA had come out with, and we hadn't seen that code in its entirety. I tell you that story because I think we still have that model code in the AFTO office, and because of him and his ability, we were able to take on the CFP and FDA on the passage of their food code and hold it up until all the states could take a look at it and input. That was Joe that enabled us to do that. I was president at the time, but it was Joe's work and his food safety knowledge that got us there. And whenever there's a problem, you go to Joe to try and find a solution to that food safety issue. I guarantee you he'll either know it or he'll know somebody that does know it.
Okay. So the next question is, tell us an interesting experience or story about Joe. That doesn't involve Denny's. No, it can involve Denny's.
Let's see. Joe came to Joe came to Washington one time for a meeting, and I was there along with a couple people from Texas, and Jimmy Sevchik, and a few other AFTO people, and we had a long, hard day. We made a lot of progress, and we were dealing with FDA on several key issues. There were contracts and other things that we were talking about, and funding for the states, and integration, and a litany of things. And we decided we'd go to the ballpark that evening, and so I rented a car, and we took off to the ballpark, and we had beer and cigars in the car. It was a non-smoking car, and we went to the ballpark. It was Joe's idea. Let's go to the ballpark. So we went there, and I tell you what, after that trip, and of course we all had a great time, and everybody was socially correct. No one got drunk. Nobody did anything like that. But that car was so trashed out, I had to take it in and have it detailed before I could take it back to the rental car company.
That's a great story. Do you happen to remember what kind of car it was?
It was a 6-passenger I believe it was a Chrysler.
That's helpful. This is the second car story that has come up while we're asking this question. So, and we didn't tell you this. I didn't explain. Part of the Wiley Award banquet is going to be a newscast that's going to have various features. So the interesting stories may appear in that. And it sounds like a car theme is quickly emerging. So Angela had a car story where they lost the car. So what would you like to tell Joe about how he has impacted you?
Joe, probably as much as anybody else, has made me a better regulator. His knowledge and his guidance on things has been impeccable, and just truly a lot of my ability to succeed and move up, both in the state and federal levels, is because of my acquaintance and my ability to work with Joe and AFTO, of course, but that unique relationship. I could call Joe up anytime, and vice versa. But we'd have a specific problem we may be working on, and invariably he would give me guidance. And in most instances, they were already working the problem in New York. And then just being a very good friend, also. Whenever there's the personal issues you get into, friendships and stuff where you need support and whatnot. He's been there, without fail. He's just been a tremendous friend.
So we're gonna cut at that point, and then I'm gonna there. Sure. Now we're ready.
I've been a member of AFTO or the affiliates probably for 42 years, something like that, and for me, it's been about having peers that you can work with. It's been the whole collegial environment, the purpose of mission, and AFTO made me succeed. No, there's no two ways about it. I would have never been the ACRA had I not been active in AFTO and been able to do the things I did. AFTO also got me recognition out there. That was a big part of it too. But it's a unique organization. I've never been in any organization like this where you had such a collegial spirit. Very professional organization, has the best education material in conference. My first AFTO conference, and I was a young inspector at the time, I was totally blown away by the quality and the high level of training and education being provided. I had not had anything like that. And I'd been to other organizations like the Texas Environmental Health Association or National Environmental Health Associations and other conferences, but none of them touched AFTO for the quality of the organization and the people. And that, to me, I recommended all my staff get involved in AFTO, and I tried to get as many traveling as I could when I was with the state. And I did the same when I was the ACRA. And we all agreed on what needed to be done and how we needed to approach doing it. And we succeeded. There was very little arguing. I mean, there were a couple of times where we had some issues, but on the board, but most of the time it's been very, very collegial. Everybody respects everybody's opinion, and this organization gets things done. Just plain and simple.
So, Dennis, one thing that we should also record is tell us a little bit about your background in food safety.
Well, my background, I started fresh out of college with the Houston Health Department. A friend of mine had gotten a job there, and I got a job there. And I stayed there for not quite 2 years and was able to get a position with the state of Texas. While working in the state of Texas, I was just your basic investigator. I was sanitarian, and I was doing food and drug work. I was out in the Region 5, which was Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that got me some exposure with FDA. And actually, we did so much joint work with FDA at that point that they gave me my own desk in the Dallas district office. So we were doing a lot of top-notch work, and I was getting a lot of training. I was able to move up because of all that, the training that I've been given both at AFTO and then also with FDA. And I moved up in the organization with the state of Texas to the point where, I went into the supervision and management, and then ultimately I was the chief of all food and drug programs in the state of Texas, which is foods, drugs, medical devices, cosmetics, meat safety. I mean, it's the whole gamut within one agency. I was able to get the AFTO Model Food Code adopted in the state of Texas in 1987, and that one, the Sunset Commission liked it so much that they put fees in there, and we grew the organization exponentially. And of course I had to get up to speed in all areas, foods, drugs, devices, and so forth. And I'm working in AFTO the whole time too, working with AFTO. And of course I was honored to become the president of AFTO, and of course get the Harvey Wiley Award. I was working as the chief of Bureau of Food and Drug Safety when I was approached by FDA recruiting committee, and they asked me if I would apply for the ACRIS position at FDA. I told them no, and Joe reached out to me, and I finally said, at the third time, I finally said, yes, I'll be your token state guy. Little did I know I would get the job. That I went through a 3-day interview process, and was shocked when Dr. Haney called me to tell me I was the selection, and I was going to be the new ACRA, was going to be the number 3 person in FDA. And I stayed active with AFTO throughout these times, and those types of friendships, they checked my references, and the references I had were people like Joe Corby, Dan Smiley. These are all program managers, but they're also huge AFTO people, and of course my references were impeccable. But FDA had also learned about me through AFTO. I had so many different initiatives. We worked with the centers on, particularly the CIFSAN, and all that enabled me. I guess you get that recognition outside, and that enabled me to be successful and become the FDA ACRA.
Great. That should be all we need. That really turned out nicely.